Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FairIncomeRadio.com. My name is Leon Pittard and I'm your host. My guest this afternoon is Tony Boutros. Tony is a naturopath who has been involved in natural health and takes a great interest in food security and indeed in growing his own food. Tony, welcome to Fair Income Radio.
Thanks, Leon. It's a pleasure. As a naturopath, I like to get back to basics. I do live and dry blood analysis, which actually shows the cell. If the cell's not healthy, then the body can't be healthy. It's a whole lifestyle thing. It's all about thoughts and words, emotional health, spiritual health. It's about rest, exercise, living water. It's not all about just popping a pill, although some supplements can help. And being a naturopath, I do use supplements. But the bottom line is, God said grow your own and eat it. And if we build up the soil, we're going to get all the nutrients that are missing in either supplements or in our supermarket, or even organics are not up to scratch. 80% of organics are nutrient deficient as well. We came from the soil, we need to live by the soil, and we're going back to the soil. So why not learn how to build the soil up, put the microbes in, the nutrients, the carbon, the scraps, dig the weeds back in, all that sort of thing. We need to learn how to build up that soil. It takes a little bit of work at the start, but once the soil is healthy, then it can take care of itself and the rewards will be there.
So how is it, Tony, that our soils have become so depleted?
In 1950, they did some tests on the food in the Brisbane markets, and it had around 90% nutrient level, which is pretty good. And this is before all this modern day spraying and all that, the modern day farming. And in 1990, they did the same test. The nutrient level was down to 10%. 2010, it's down to about 5%. We have damaged the soil, and some of us ignorantly, but we've damaged the earth, and it's time to get the nutrients back up, and it can be done, and it is being done. Now, a lot of people don't know a lot about microbes. Microbes are needed to feed the roots, and this is what's happening when they spray the plants. They're spraying the plants, and it's like a bodybuilder forcing his muscles, overfeeding himself, and he looks good, but on the inside he's not healthy. And this is what's happening with the NPK. The plants can look good, but they're sick plants. So the idea is every time they spray it with chemicals, the chemicals are dripping down the plant and they're going into the soil and killing the microbes, and the plant gets sick again because it's not getting any nutrients, so they have to spray it again. So it's a vicious circle. The microbes actually feed the root of the plant.
Those microbes, Tony, they are all the life beneath the soil. Like they're the living cells, organisms that actually are alive, and they actually help in the process of natural fertiliser under the soil.
Exactly. And that's what they do. Like I said, they take the nutrients in through the root, but the good thing about it is if you put the carbon as well, which is charcoal, that holds the nutrients and the water so that when it rains, the nutrients aren't leached out of the soil because of the microbes and the carbon. So it's a fantastic thing, and it's natural and it's easy. At the moment, what we're doing is we're buying our food and we're getting shortchange sugars, which is sick food, which is sick sugar. It's making us sick. When someone has got cancer or fungus or diabetes, the first thing a decent practitioner would do is get them off fruit. And people say, well, isn't fruit good? Well, it is good if it's grown properly. Now, if it's not grown properly, you've got short-chain sugars which will raise the blood sugar pretty quick, and it will feed the fungus, and it will feed the cancer. So short chains are really quick-release sugars. Now, what we want in plants is long-chain sugars or long-chain polysaccharides. When we grow our own and the soil is nutrient-rich, okay, now anyone can grow their own, but if it's not done properly, you'll still get the short-chain sugars. If we got all the nutrients in the soil, the minerals make the long-chain polysaccharides. And that acts like another immune system. People saying, oh, fruit's good for you. And yeah, well, it can be. But they're eating all this sugar and they don't know it. And they're juicing and they're having all these juice fasts and they're getting all this sugar. And they don't realise they're having short-chain sugars. And that's very detrimental. 20 or 30 years ago, herbalists and naturopaths used to use herbs and they were grown properly and they had the long-chain polysaccharides, and we used to get some amazing results within days and weeks, okay? We're not getting the same results these days because the herbs do not contain the long-chain polysaccharides, which means the soils are deficient of minerals. Now, when we look at the DNA, if I could just explain this quickly, the DNA is made up of all the nutrients, of course, but the main ones are the double strands on the outside are made from long-chain polysaccharides, and you've got the nucleotides in the middle, like ladders, which are the proteins, and what glues them together is the monoatomic minerals, or the minerals. Now, this is why our DNAs are falling apart, because there's no minerals in the food, and so we're not getting the long-chain sugars. So the minerals can cause the plant to make the long-chain sugars. If the soil is nutrient-rich, there's a frequency in the plants that will keep the insects away. Now, this is fascinating. You will not see any bugs on your food if the soil is nutrient-rich. So it solves a lot of fungus problems, a lot of insect problems, and other problems as well. Now, I've measured some of the nutrients, and you might ask, how do I measure them? There's a Brix Meter. A lot of wine places use them to measure their sugars in their wine. I use one in the clinic to measure people's vitality through the urine. These things, a lot of farmers use these to check their nutrients in the food. And I've checked some organics, and they're between the measurement of 2 to 6% nutrients in them. Now, to get healthy food, we need at least 10 or 12% for vegetables and between 20 and 40 for fruit. So when you got organics, between 2 and 6, that's not very good. If it's optimum, vegetables, like I say, should be 12% on the reading, on the Brix reading, and fruit should be 20 to 40%. So, I've had stuff around 0 to 2 in a supermarket. It's not great at all.
That's incredible, isn't it? Now, that Brix Meter you've got, what does it actually measure? Does it measure the quantity of minerals or vitamins or what?
When the wine people use it, they use it to check sugars. Now, that's what it does. It checks sugars, and when I check the urine of my clients, it checks the sugars in the person, which means how their vitality is going. So in the food, it does check the sugars, but what it's telling me also is if the sugars are high in the actual Brix reading, it means that the minerals are high, because the minerals make the long-chain sugars. Okay, so it's checking minerals and sugars and polysaccharides. Can I tell you what a doctor said, a statement on ABC Radio, Country Hour, September 2011?
Certainly.
But this guy said, disease is the direct result of the condition of the soil. And another guy said that used to own MediHerb. He used to supply naturopaths, and he was telling us naturopaths, you can't fix. This is what they used to say. They don't say things like this anymore. You can't fix people, or you can't help people unless you fix the soil. Now, these were two clever doctors. Things like oregano, parsley, basil, thyme. They can be powerful herbs if the soil is great. Sweet potato with the leaf, pumpkin with the leaf, they become complete foods when you have the leaf with them. Yeah, whether you want to cook them a little bit or have them raw, that's fine. But this is what they do in the islands. They have the sweet potato and they use the leaf as a green. Well, things like kale. Kale's one of the highest protein plant foods. Kale, they're pretty easy to grow. The kale and the collards and all that sort of thing, and yeah, the leafy greens. Aloe vera is a great herb. They've all got long-chain polysaccharides in them. Beetroot. Any plant that's grown in mineral-rich soil has got long-chain polysaccharides. Natural health should not be complicated. If we grow our own food correctly, we're going to get a lot of the nutrients that we're missing out on. And our food can be our medicine and will be our medicine.